I'd like to start by saying, to my core, how appreciative I am of the guests that we had today. We had Undersecretary from the Navy, the Undersecretary Modley, and he brought out 3 World War II veterans that participated in D-Day. Uh, I take pride in the fact that I know a lot of that type stuff from our history, and what those guys did and the sacrifice that they did is unbelievable. And I've read a couple of books, concerning D-Day, and what those guys walked into without knowing is remarkable. And I just wanted to say that to start things out, and I'll take any questions.
Could you summarize what you accomplished, where you think you're at as the summer break now begins?
Tony, I think we got a base for what we're doing, and that's what we tried to get. There's still some things to work out. There's still some timing details to work out. But this has been a long process for these guys. As a new head coach, you get an extra week and an extra minicamp, which in reality turns into 2 weeks. So I've been most impressed with how these guys have kept their head down and just worked, because it does get redundant after a while, because you're going back and making sure that you're getting done what you wanted to get done, which is having a base for the offense, the base for the defense, and a base for special teams, because there's no game planning. So the excitement kind of wears off. So these guys have been doing a good job of pushing through and continuing to get ready for training camp. And essentially all we want to do is prepare everybody to compete in training camp.
TJ Carey, do you know what happened?
I do not right now. I do not know.
Is it too early in your mind we often talk about the identity of this team. Is it too early to see an identity being created?
That's a great question. And I do think it's too early. It's the identity of the team, I hope falls in line of what I want to see out of our team. And I want to be the most physical team on the field. All right. I want to play great defense. I want to move the ball, and I want to be great in special teams. All right, so that kind of sums it up. Now, in saying all that, these guys have to decide what they want their identity to be. I know what we're going to push and press for, and the identity is going to be of knowing what to do, knowing when to do it, knowing how to do it, and everything we do it physically.
Freddie, on Tuesday, you playfully joked about not getting any questions about the defense. All the focus is on the offense. But over the last 3 days, it really seemed like the defense stole the show, per se, especially the secondary and the way they played. Could you touch on what you saw from that side of the ball collectively and how you hope that translates to the
Again, I think anytime you create with competitive people, you want to try to surround yourself with competitive people. And I think we've done a good job of that. Everybody offensively, defensively, they're very competitive. And sometimes when you have the talent reaches the competitiveness level, you win some and you lose some. And I think that's what you've seen. So I've been I tell them we're not perfect, and we're not going to be perfect in the fall, but if we compete the way we should compete, and we play with our intelligence that we should play with, and we're the toughest team on the field, then we'll be okay. That's the only things I care about.
We saw a different first-team right guard each day of minicamp. Will it be that wide open early in training camp, or do you think you want to kind of head in with the guy and stick with him and see if it works that way?
Well, again, I think it's all about versatility, and we're trying to find out who's got some versatility to them. There's a depth chart, of course, right now, but at the end of the day, we're trying to prepare all those guys just to compete. And sometimes when you prepare a guy, you've got to give them reps, all right? And then when we get back in the fall, we'll compete and see who works.
Is it a thing where you have to see them all in pads with
Definitely.
the starters?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, in other words, it couldn't just be one guy.
Yeah, and that's the next step. Okay, so you want to make sure, and that's what I was talking about, preparing them to compete in training camp, because we'll have pads on in training camp. But from a knowledge standpoint, they need to be prepared to do that so they can put their best foot forward. And then show me what they got. Just show us what they've got. And you can only do that with pads on.
Jay was saying that when he he started, I don't know if he meant rookie minicamp or OTAs, but he's kind of questioning himself because he gave up some completions. And then he was able to get past that. I guess what's it say about a kid, his confidence level, that it looks like he got past in a hurry and was making some plays?
Well, you know, I tell guys all the time that, especially that position, you're going to get beat some, but you got to play the next play. It's almost like a quarterback. You're going to throw an interception, but you got to play the next play just like the other one didn't exist. And that's why I want our whole team to approach things. Is the last play doesn't mean anything. It's back to the rearview mirror, right? It's smaller than the windshield. So let's look forward. Let's look to play the play that we're playing right now. That's the only thing that matters. The other one doesn't matter anymore. And Greedy did a good job of pushing through that in the spring, or the whole time here. He's done a good job of pushing through that. But that's what the NFL is about. You got to push through. You got to play the next play, and you've got to have confidence. You got to have more confidence in yourself than anybody else around you has in you. And Greedy's going to be fine.
You have so many good receivers, and we know who we're talking about. But then you see this number 16 with a lot of reps with the ones in this camp.
Yeah.
What can you say about this Ishmael?
Well, Ishmael's done a good job. He came in, worked his tail off. He looks different now than he did at the beginning of Phase 2. And he knows more now than he did before Phase 1. So he's done a good job of just keeping his head down and keep working, and he's getting better. I think a bunch of those guys have gotten better, and that's what we want to see. We just want to see little increases every day.
What do you see from your tight end, Farrell Brown?
Well, Farrell's a big body guy, athletic. Again, he needs to keep coming, We've got several guys in that room we feel like can play, and he's got to keep coming and see what he can do in the thing. Some of their, just like somebody mentioned earlier, some of their projection and evaluation depends on once we put pads on, because our guys are going to be able to block also.
Freddie, from the standpoint that Larry Ogunjobi was over there a second ago talking about what he intends to bring this year, what is he going to bring in your mind, Ogunjobi?
I think he's going to bring his energy, his athleticism, and his commitment to do things the right way. When we get up every day, we have a choice to make: either do it right or do it wrong. All right, in everything you do. And Larry's one of those guys. You can count on him. He's in it for the right reasons, and he's going to do everything he can to do it the right way. And if he does that, Larry's going to be fine. Larry's had a good spring. Larry's had a really good spring.
Freddie, what have you thought of the special teams? Like you mentioned the other teams there. Is it going to be quite a bit better, or how do you see it going?
I would assume we're going to be better, just because, I think they've done a good job preparing. They've done a good job practicing. And again, it's hard to predict the future with them, just like anything else. I know that the guys that we put out on the field are going to know what to do, and they're going to know how to do it, and they're going to play with tremendous effort.
That's obviously part of a really good team, and last year's special teams overall were not that good.
We're trying to improve our whole team, every area. We're trying to be better than we were last year on offense. We're trying to be better than we were on defense, and special teams included. It's, a lot of times coaches like to talk about, it's a third of the game, but they don't commit to it. All right, well, we're going to commit to it.
The guys that did,
He's a guy that appeared to have a really good spring. We saw a lot of him in safety. Just from your perspective, what's your observations over what you see?
Well, I think he can play. He's a good player. He's put his best foot forward. He's continued to get better. He's better. He's another one that is better at the end of spring than he was at the beginning. Steve's done a good job on the defense side of the ball, making sure everybody's on the same page. And Joe and Dwayne in the back end has done a good job of putting those guys in a position to be successul. So.
Right guard spot stand now at the end of
One more time.
Your right guard, where does that stand now? It looked like Taylor's was getting a lot of reps there at the end. So where is he? Corbett, where is all that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to. I promise I'm not trying to be funny, but we're not even close to even deciding anything. The offensive linemen need pads on before we can start determining anything like that.
Freddie, what is your non-contract question?
That was funny though, wasn't it?
Non-contract question is so many weapons. How, assuming he's here, how effective could he be in space when you have all these other guys out there and what we've seen of him in the past?
Oh, he could be special in space. I mean, you know, I don't know if you guys know it, but I was in Arizona with David Johnson. I mean, he could be very special in space. That's his game, you know. So, you know, Duke's a good player. You know, I don't know where all the other stuff comes from.
It looked like
So.
Duke, Johnson, and Odell Beckham Jr. weren't on the team today. Was that part of the plan? Are they okay? Or
Well, it's more preventive than anything. Just more preventive than anything. Everything's okay with them. Yeah.
Some of the guys that haven't practiced, you didn't practice during minicamp. Morgan Burnett, Ratley, Willies.
Can I follow up on this? We don't play any games in the spring, and I'm not being funny, but it goes back to our voluntary issue. Even when they're here and it's mandatory, we're going to make sure we take care of our players until they start counting. That doesn't mean they're not going to work their ass off when they're here, but we're not going to be stupid. All right, we're going to take care of our guys when they're here.
we just want to make sure they're not injured. We
Yeah,
see
no,
big
they're not.
names, yeah.
But yes, they're not injured. Yeah.
Those guys that are injured or didn't practice, Burnett, Ratley, Willies, you expect them to be ready for
Yeah,
training?
they probably could have practiced. They could have already practiced probably.
Antonio Callaway wants to take his game to the next level.
There you go. Get in there.
Do you do you see any indications of that in what you've seen of him so far, Callaway?
I think Antonio's had a great spring. I think everybody would agree, right? He's been really, really good, and I'm really excited about Antonio coming back. You know, from a knowledge standpoint, from knowing what to do, when to do it, and then actually doing it, he's done very well.
He's given himself some lofty goals. Do you like that out of a guy who, star-studded receiver room?
Yeah, I do. I like that. I like setting the expectations high for ourselves, not letting you guys do it, but us do it.
Freddie, what are you doing this offseason after until training camp? What are your plans? Are you going to be here a lot? Are you going to try to take some time off?
Well, I know I'm not going to leave Cleveland too much in the summer because it's beautiful, right? So, you know, I'm not really sure yet. I know I'll go to a few horse shows with my daughters. Looking forward to that. This has not been the normal spring for them, and I've got some time to make up with them and my wife.
You talk about you want players to get away,
Yeah.
you know, at times.
Right.
Do you make yourself do that, or are you worried about, like, hey, are the other coaches watching film? Like, or do you just say, hey, I got to take the break?
One thing I pride myself on is when I do leave and I'm not work. If I'm here, I'm going to work. All right. But if I'm not here, I'm with my family. So I'm present wherever I'm at, whether it be a horse show or just sitting at home playing a game, or just talking to my family. All right. So, you know, you see a lot of people in this business that even though they're not at the office, their mind is not where it's supposed to be. So if they're with their wife, their mind should be on their wife. If they're with their kids, their mind should be with their kids. And I try to pride myself on making sure wherever I'm at, I'm present, per se.
Is this a nervous time for you when these guys get to leave for whatever it is, 6 or 7 weeks? Some guys have gotten in trouble in the past. And did you give them a message before they get out of town?
Of course, but our message doesn't change from whether it's January or May or June. It's going to all be the same. You know, we ain't got very many rules here. It's just, you know, just to do the right thing, and we'll be fine. And, you know, hopefully they've got to make the decision. You know, so hopefully they make good decisions. And the same thing, the short answer to your question is yes, I get nervous. But I get nervous when my daughters walk to school. All right, so, you know, yeah, I'm always nervous. When they're not with me, I'm nervous, just like my daughters, you know.
So Freddie, you get back to that family time. Are you one of these coaches?
But I would say I trust them too, though. I trust them. All right, I trust that they're going to do the right thing, and I'm going to trust them until they tell me that I can't trust them. All right, and they show me that, or they tell me that by showing me that.
So are you one of these coaches that's going to be here until midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning during the season, or do you try to wrap up and get family time during?
I'm not going to pretend, Coach. And anybody that asks me, I'll tell them. We'll be here until we get the work done. And when we get the work done, we're not going to be here. We're not going to pretend. I've been a part of that before, too. I haven't been one of them, but I've seen it. And I'm not going to pretend, Coach. We're going to make sure we prepare and we do what we're supposed to do our part of the game to put us in the best situations. But I'm not going to be up here wasting a lot of time. That makes me be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. No, but if it takes it, ask our offensive staff. If it takes us, we'll be here.
Question on Mayfield: is it healthy for him to just get away from football and do something else for part of his break, or if he's into obsessing the whole time he's gone, is that good too?
He better get away because he's. I think he's got a big date coming up at some point. So I don't know. I think he's pretty tough, but I think who he's going to be going home with is a little tougher. So, but yeah, I mean, I stress for these guys. But again, these next 6 weeks for these guys is a critical time. They need to be in shape when they come back, and they will be. I've got trust that they will do that. And they got to be, if we're going to get to where we want to go, they got to pay the price to do it. And that's some of it during the 6 weeks.